What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Pros and Cons from myself, Nick McCabe. Now, Goodison Park is a very difficult place to go under any circumstance, but given the 10-point deduction that they had been given, a very harsh penalty, Evertonians felt it was even more of this kind of cauldron of an atmosphere, a bear pit, some people called it. People were using numerous different words to describe the situation. And United were going away from home, where they struggled previously before, in a very, very tough game. And contrary to what quite a few people thought heading into this one, we thought it'd be a game where we'd really, really struggle. And there'd be a lot of negatives. There'd be, maybe they'd lose their heads a little bit. Mentality would switch off. But it was kind of the opposite of that, which was really, really refreshing. And usually, when I do these kind of things, the pros and cons, I'd probably say 90% of them that I've done, it's always been more negatives than there is positive. There's about 8 negative things to talk about and maybe 1 or 2 where we've spoken about, a couple of the positives. But this one is completely different. It's swinging the opposite way, so I'm excited to get into it. And in routine fashion, we always start off with the negatives, but there's only a couple in this one, so stick with me for the positives because I think they're really interesting to get into. Right, okay, then starting with the negatives, what has happened to Marcus Rashford? For someone just looking at the score sheet, seeing his name on there, they thought, may have scored a decent goal, getting back into scoring form. Obviously, that's not the context. Bruno Fernandes gave him a penalty because he has been struggling, which was, I think, very, very leadership-like of Bruno Fernandes. He's been criticised over certain things, but that was that he noticed that Marcus was struggling for confidence. He's only scored 1 goal in the league this season, and he's thought, right, let's just get him on a score sheet, and hopefully he can kick on from then. The actual game in itself, there's still a lot of questions to be asked about Marcus Rashford. It doesn't paper the cracks for me. I think his decision-making is questionable. His football IQ is non-existent. He lacks confidence to beat a man. It didn't even look like he wanted to celebrate the goal. I mean, if you watch that back now, the celebration, his face was just like thunder. And his teammates were kind of pushing him towards the corner. I'm not sure what was happening there. I'm not sure what's going on with him in general. I'm convinced something is happening off the pitch. I don't know what that may be. You never know. You don't want to speculate because you sound like an idiot, but we've seen it with players before where, something will come out maybe in 6 months' time where it's saying, Marcus was dealing with this, or maybe it is something as simple as his relationship. And I think we're all human from that perspective where we can appreciate the fact that, people broke up with girlfriends before, they've had relatives die, etc. So it can affect your performance. They're not robots, they are human beings. So that side of it I appreciate. But at the same time, he also does have a habit of having these kind of purple patches where one season will be really good and then the next season he just completely falls off the face of a cliff. So I'm kind of worried about that as well. Maybe it's a blend of 2 things, I'm not entirely sure. But the thing is with Marcus, right, when he doesn't score, he doesn't contribute off the ball. He's not really a mega creative player. He has the odd pass where he would do it. I think he did one for Greenwood against Tottenham, which was like just cut in and then over the top was a perfect ball. And I'd love to see more of that, but he doesn't do it enough. So when he doesn't score, it's really noticeable when he's not on it. Performance levels still below par. I thought the scoreline in the game was very generous, and if Everton could finish the dinner, you probably could have seen a draw in that game. I don't even think, if you look at the XG, the chances created, etc., they had some really, really good chances but could not finish. I still think in-game United, in terms of like marking players and tracking runners and all these kind of things, is still not on point for me. There's a lot of situations that worried me. And like I said, if it's against a better team, with all due respect, I think they could have done more damage. DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, of course, had way too much joy for me. He was having a lot of space and time on the ball for my liking. So that's something I think they need to be a bit more aggressive with the forwards. Obviously, having Luke Shaw back in that back 5 is really, really important. But I want to start seeing some more consistency now out of that back, because we've had so many different partnerships in the midfield, at the back, at the forward. There's no cohesiveness, there's no chemistry. I've spoken about this numerous times. But if you could start playing a regular back 5 together, at least you can develop some form of confidence, because Rafael Varane obviously isn't in Ten Hag's plans, right? So let's just, if you're going to do that, stick to your guns, keep playing Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka, I would say, rather than Dalot, even though he had an okay game. That would be my back 5, obviously including Andre Onana as well. Because one thing you want going away from home is knowing each other's games, having that familiarity and having that trust within your teammates, because it creates that bond and you're a lot stronger defensively as a team, as a unit, rather than just a bunch of individuals, which we've seen most of the season. Like I said, the amount of partnerships we've had across the board has been ridiculous, which shows in the results. But now we're starting to get a bit of form now. So let's not chop and change too much, I suppose, is what I'm saying. Right then, let's get into the positives. This is the best bit. There's so many things I want to discuss, but obviously there there is only one place to start in there, and you know exactly what I'm going to say. It is Garnacho's glorious strike. It took just 3 minutes for Alejandro Garnacho to score the best goal perhaps we will see this season, and one of the best goals of the decade. That's not an overreaction. It was unbelievable. Started with an excellent switch of play from Victor Lindelof into Marcus Rashford's feet on the right-hand side. I think Delot offered that kind of underlapping run. He slots him in, and then Delot, pops it in the air, crosses the ball in. He's got a fantastic cross. And with the ball hanging in the air, Garnacho leapt up to produce what is one of the sweetest connections you will ever see in football. The timing, the confidence, just the ability to produce that was absolutely stunning. And I remember I was in the pub at the time watching it, and everyone stood up in the pub and was like, oh, you just get that reaction where everyone's like, Zidane, like, that's what he was doing. Everyone was doing that, like, kind of just stood in the pub with the Guinness spilt over on the floor. It was incredible. His overall performance as well was relatively decent. I didn't think it was man of the match worthy, just in my personal opinion. The next person I'm going to speak about, I thought he had a man of the match performance, but he was up there. He's starting to get regular starts now, and I think that left-hand side is definitely his now. 100%. It's scary to think what this kid's ceiling is, because he looks very exciting at the age of 18. Like, he's just had a kid. He's probably going to get married to his missus. He's playing first-team football for Manchester United, scoring a crazy overhead kick. Like, he's on top of the world at the moment, and let's make sure we keep him there. Let's keep him measured. I do have this one little fear, and this might sound like a negative to you lot, but I have this fear that he may end up going to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. You look at that, them kind of characters that have got that kind of aura about them, a bit of arrogance, but a lot of talent and a lot of ability. I'm sure that he'll be someone who's on, Barca or Real Madrid's radar, and I think if we're not careful, he may end up there, because if we're not competing at the top again for the next couple of years, he's an ambitious player. He'll maybe look to move on, but for the meantime, he's our player, he's our winger, and he's a star boy, and he's an absolute star in the making. So long may it continue. I'm going to stick with the theme of stars. Kobbie Mainoo is special, and like I said, another young star in the making. We've been waiting a while for this day to come, and after seeing a glimpse of him in pre-season, we was eager to see more, but obviously unfortunately picked up that injury against Real Madrid. Seriously talented kid. To think as well, it's just his second ever start for Manchester United. I think his first one, was against Charlton last season, and we didn't really see much of him. His performance overall, demanding the ball, he looks like he was more experienced than anyone on the pitch. Like he had hundreds and hundreds of caps for Manchester United. Worked extremely hard off the ball as well, and it was an incident where he clears the ball off the line, which is a really important moment in the game. In the second half, grew in confidence, started really peacocking, showing what he was all about. His all-around game's fantastic, and he kept things simple as well. He just looked like a seasoned player at the age of 18 again, which is just incredible. So the manager must really, really trust him, and then brought him off. I think it was 20 minutes to go in the game. So whether he's saving him for Galatasaray or not, I'm not entirely sure. Before the game, I would have said I won't play Kobbie Mainoo in against Galatasaray. The atmosphere might swallow him up, etc. Blah blah blah. But Everton was noisy. On Sunday, Everton was very, very noisy, and he handled that. Didn't look phased at all. I know a lot of the people who work with him say he's not very hot or very cold. He's just measured all the time, and I think you need that kind of head, especially to grow in that position. You had the likes of Roy Keane and loads of other pundits really, really praising him. So he looks like a serious talent, and I hope we just protect him, because he like I said, he's a proper star in the making. Just some stats here for you guys. So game by numbers against Everton. 100% tackles won, 83% pass accuracy, 57 touches, 34 out of 41 passes completed, 5 duels won, 3 ball recoveries, 2 out of 3 dribbles completed, 2 long balls completed, 2 interceptions, 1 clearance, and 1 block. A solid cameo from the young gem. Andre Onana is finding his feet in a United shirt. Onana, of course, had a very difficult start to life at Manchester United, made numerous mistakes, some big cock-ups in big games, but you have to say he's been incredibly solid in recent games for us, and has yet again probably had one of his better performances yesterday, if not his best, or most complete performance at least. In the first half, he was consistently calming the game down with his presence. He was going left foot, right foot, playing out from the back. Sometimes that would be a little bit erratic, but I think that's the players that he's got in front of him as well. You need them Lissandros in there. I think that's very, very evident. But Everton wouldn't press him. It seemed like they was holding off a bit, but whenever they did, they would cause problems, or there was an odd cock-up from our side. But in general, there was that calmness at the back. He also made an incredible number of saves as well. High claims, preventing Everton from getting back into the game. And I think now he's starting to show why Erik ten Hag was so eager to reunite with him. And I just think it's mad how so many people were so quick to just dismiss him and say, we should have kept De Gea. Is De Gea still a free agent? Let's bring him back. He's nowhere near his level, blah, blah, blah. And you look at any statistics they'll show you from last season, he was a better shot stopper than David De Gea. And he's obviously miles better with his feet. So in good time, he will be a really, really good goalkeeper for us. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And another quick stat for you is Andre Onana is now tied for the most clean sheets in the Premier League at 5. All of our attackers scored. So one topic of conversation that we always discuss on this channel, or it's always been present, at least when we're talking about our attackers, is the fact that they do not score enough goals. And prior to the game, the only forward who had scored for us in the Premier League was Marcus Rashford against Arsenal. Martial, Garnacho, Antony, Pellistri, and obviously Jadon, who's hardly played at all, had 0 goals between them to this game. And to be, end of November, that's one of the main reasons why we are not winning goals. Is you can keep as many clean sheets as you want, but if your attackers aren't scoring, you're obviously not going to win any goals at all. We've had, most of the goals have come from McTominay or Casemiro, so that's been a fault of our game for a long, long time now. And that was one of the reasons why Bruno Fernandes gave Marcus Rashford the penalty, because he needs confidence. He needs to start scoring goals. He needs to find that form again, because if they had been on form, or if they were contributing like you'd expect him to, where would we be in the league? Because we're 6 points behind Man City at the moment. We're 2 points behind Tottenham, who were supposed to be having an amazing season. I know they've had a couple of injuries recently. 6 points behind Man City. Like, if our forwards were scoring, we could be within 3 points. We could be level on points with him if Marcus had been in the form that he's in. So that's how important it is. I liked what Bruno did for Marcus, and that's a proper captain's move. Martial had a lovely finish as well. Bruno again assisting that, and then Martial dinked it to the side of Pickford. And then obviously Garnacho's was the pick of the bunch, which I've already spoke about. But you would like to think that's going to boost all of their confidence. So the conclusion then. All in all, I'd probably say we had the game in total, we had some shaky moments. There was, the 20 minutes in the first half towards the end was probably Everton's best moments where they could have got back into the game. They didn't take that, so the second half we performed much better and took home the 3 points with 3 goals as well. Probably our best performance this season, having compared it to the shit we've been watching recently. That doesn't mean it was an amazing performance. Like I said, there's still things to work on, but we haven't conceded a league goal for a month. We're starting to look a bit more dangerous going forward. And like I said, it was nice for all the front 3 players to get a goal because they've been lacking goals. We're now 6 points off the top. It's a good start to a big week with games against Galatasaray away. We've got Newcastle away as well, which is the toughest out of the lot and that's within the next 6 days. So bring them on. So let us know your thoughts on the game as a whole, if you agree with my positives and negatives, anything else you guys want to throw in there. What did you think about Kobbie Mainoo's performance, Garnacho's overhead kick? Do you think Marcus will find his feet in terms of form? Are you happy with the defence? Talk to me. Get it in the comments section. Leave a like on the video for us if you can, and subscribe to Real Reds Talk if you're new to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and I will see you guys in the next one for the Galatasaray game. Let's go get the 3 points there.